You've said it, or thought it, maybe while scrolling through photos of 1920s Paris cafes, or watching a documentary about 1960s music, or even looking at those nostalgic 2012 Tumblr posts. That pull, that ache. I belong there, not here. Your grandparents said it too, so did theirs. Every generation convinces itself it's living in the wrong time. But here's what's unsettling. We might be the first generation where that feeling is technically correct. Throughout history, humans have experienced temporal homesickness. Medieval peasants dreamed of a lost golden age. Renaissance thinkers ached for classical antiquity. Victorians romanticized the Middle Ages they'd just escaped. The 1920s yearned for pre-war innocence. The 1950s built fake colonial towns. The 1980s revived the 1950s. The 2010s aesthetic recycled every previous decade simultaneously. But notice the pattern accelerating. The gap between now and the time we long for keeps shrinking. We're nostalgic for last Tuesday. Think about it. In the 1890s, people romanticized centuries past. By the 1990s, we were nostalgic for the 1970s. Just 20 years. Now, you see nostalgic posts about 2020. We're speedrunning nostalgia. The past used to be a foreign country. Now it's the room you just left, and you already miss it. Why your brain thinks you're temporally misplaced. Your mind compares the messy, uncertain present to curated highlights of the past. Of course, 1969 looks better. You're seeing it through Woodstock documentaries, not draft cards and assassination footage. You know how the story ends. You don't see the mundane Tuesdays, the awkward silences, the uncertainty they lived with. Every era looks better in the rearview mirror because history comes with Instagram filters pre-applied. There's also the issue of narrative. Finished stories feel more real than ongoing ones. The past has endings, arcs, meaning. The present is just happening. Your brain craves that narrative closure. It's why a mediocre TV show with a good finale feels better than a great show that got canceled. The past is a finished series. The present is still in production, and you don't trust the showrunners. And then there's the selection trap. You know what music from 1977 survived. You don't hear the thousands of terrible songs that died. The past comes pre-filtered. Natural selection already killed the bad stuff. When you listen to classic rock, you're hearing the 1% that survived. Meanwhile, you're living through the unfiltered present, where 99% of everything is still noise. But here's where 2025 breaks the pattern. The first generation to be right. We literally live in multiple timelines. Open your phone right now. I'll wait. Your Instagram shows 2019. Someone's still posting pre-pandemic brunch photos. Your music app plays 1983. That algorithm knows you spent 6 hours on synthwave last week. Your fashion Pinterest boards pull from 1997. Low-rise is back, apparently. Netflix recommends shows from 2008. The Office, again. Your YouTube recommendations span from 1950s cooking shows to videos uploaded 6 minutes ago. You're not choosing between present and past. You're experiencing all time simultaneously, poorly, like trying to watch 6 movies at once with the audio from all of them playing. No wonder you feel temporarily seasick. Previous generations could only imagine other eras. You're watching 4K restorations of 1960s concerts where you can see the performers' pores. You're playing note-perfect recreations of 1980s synthesizers on your laptop. You're wearing molecular-level reproductions of 1990s fabrics, buying vintage items manufactured last week. The past isn't gone. It's competing with the present for bandwidth. Your parents had to imagine Woodstock. You can watch it in higher definition than the people who were there. You can hear Django Reinhardt playing guitar in 1938 with better sound quality than his live audience experienced. The past has been enhanced, remastered, made more real than it ever was. And here's the thing. Time stopped updating. When did movies stop looking modern? Seriously, when a film from 2005 looks basically identical to one from 2025. Compare that to the jump from 1985 to 2005. When did music genres stop evolving? We're still recycling sounds from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. When did fashion become a 30-year shuffle button? Culture used to move forward. Now it circles. We've entered what Mark Fisher called the slow cancellation of the future. Culture is a snake eating its own tail, and we're somewhere in the middle being digested. The philosophy of temporal displacement. Heidegger called it thrownness. We're thrown into a time not of our choosing, but he assumed time moved forward. What happens when it doesn't? Every philosopher who tackled time, from Heraclitus with his river to Nietzsche with his eternal return, assumed time had direction. Even circular time was still moving. But we've created something new. Static time. Time that updates its number but not its content. Mark Fisher named it capitalist realism. The inability to imagine a future different from the present. We're not nostalgic for the past. We're grieving for futures that never arrive. Where's our flying cars? Our moon colonies? Our 3-day work week? The future we were promised in every decade has been indefinitely postponed. No wonder we look backward. Forward stopped existing. Think about the futures promised to each generation. 1950s. Nuclear powered everything by 2000. 1960s. Moon bases by 1999. 1970s. Renewable energy utopia by 2010. 1980s. Virtual reality worlds by 2005. 1990s. The internet would democratize everything by 2020. What did we get? The same smartphones but thinner. The same social media but worse. The same problems but faster. Your timeline is literally broken. You see posts from 2019 next to news from today. Dead celebrities promote new products through AI. Your memories on Facebook include people you've never met, places you've never been. The algorithm showing you memories of other people's lives because engagement is engagement. Scroll through any feed. You'll see a meme from 2012, breaking news from an hour ago, a photo from 1973, an ad for something that doesn't exist yet, a tweet from someone who died in 2020, a prediction about 2030. All presented with equal weight, equal reality. Your brain isn't designed for this. No wonder you can't tell what year it is. Meanwhile, you age while culture doesn't. Songs from your childhood are still current hits. Movies from 20 years ago look identical to today's. You're getting older in a world that stopped aging. Blinding Lights could have been released in 1985. Stranger Things is literally about the past being the present. The biggest movies are sequels to films from decades ago. Even our nostalgia has nostalgia. The archive became the present. Spotify has all music ever made. YouTube has all videos ever filmed. Every TV show, every movie, every meme, every tweet, all accessible all at once. You're not living in 2025. You're living in all years simultaneously, which is the same as living in none. Previous generations had to let go. That song you loved in 1975, unless you kept the vinyl, it was gone. That TV show from your childhood, you'd never see it again. Forgetting was mandatory. Memory was selective. Now nothing dies. Nothing fades. Everything is present tense. The past isn't even past anymore. The psychological toll. Your parents had 3 TV channels. You have every show ever made. They had the local record store. You have every song ever recorded. They had the clothes in their closet. You have every fashion trend from the last century available for next-day delivery. This isn't freedom. It's paralysis. When you can live in any era, how do you choose? So you don't. You float between all of them, committed to none. Not only do you compare yourself to everyone else alive, you compare yourself to everyone who ever lived. Your dinner isn't just competing with your neighbors, it's competing with every meal ever photographed. Your experiences aren't just measured against your peers, they're measured against every experience ever documented. You're not just keeping up with the Joneses, you're keeping up with the Joneses, the Medicis, the Rockefellers, and that influencer who may or may not be real. You can fear missing out on the present and the past simultaneously. That underground music scene in 1980s Manchester, you missed it, but you know exactly what you missed. That speakeasy in 1920s Chicago, you've seen the photos, heard the music, know the cocktails. You have nostalgia for times you never lived, homesickness for places you've never been. That temporal displacement you feel, it's not nostalgia, it's diagnosis. You're not crazy for feeling like you're in the wrong time. You're correct. We've built a world where all times exist at once, where the past is more accessible than the present, where the future has been cancelled and replaced with higher resolution versions of before. Previous generations dreamed of other times. You're forced to live in all of them. So when you feel that pull toward another era, 1920s Paris, 1960s London, 1990s Tokyo, or even 2019, you're not romanticizing. You're recognizing that those times had something yours doesn't. They knew what year it was. They had a future to dream about. They existed in sequence, not shuffle. The paradox of digital omnitemporality. We've created a temporal paradox. We have access to all of history, but we've lost our place in it. We can visit any era, but we can't inhabit our own. We're tourists in time, never residents. It's like being in a library that contains every book ever written, but you've forgotten how to read, or having every song ever recorded, but losing the ability to hear. Access without presence, information without experience. Despite having computers that can process billions of calculations per second, culture moves slower than ever. We have the technology to create anything, but we use it to recreate everything. Our tools got faster, but our imagination got slower. Your phone is millions of times more powerful than the computers that sent humans to the moon. You use it to look at photos of the past. Previous generations had their time. Music, fashion, slang, values, all distinctly theirs. What's distinctly 2025? What will people nostalgically recreate about now in 30 years? The way we recreated other eras? We don't have a generation. We have a remix. When everything is available, nothing feels real. That vintage jacket isn't vintage. It was made last week to look old. That analog photo was edited to look film-like. That authentic restaurant is a calculated recreation of something that never quite existed. We've become method actors stuck in character, but we've forgotten which character we're playing or what story we're in. We're the first generation to live in our own future's past. The future we're in now is already retro. We're nostalgic for futures that haven't happened yet. Cyberpunk is a nostalgia genre. The apocalypse is an aesthetic. Tomorrow is a vintage store. Your temporal homesickness isn't a bug. It's the only appropriate response to living in a broken timeline. The question isn't why you feel displaced. It's why anyone pretends to feel at home. But here's the thing. Recognizing the glitch is the first step to escaping it. Once you understand that your temporal displacement is real, that culture really has stopped moving forward, that you really are living in all times and no time simultaneously, you can start to make choices. You can't fix the timeline, but you can choose how to exist within its brokenness. You can decide which era to inhabit today. You can create new things instead of recreating old ones. You can imagine futures instead of just remixing pasts. Or you can keep scrolling, jumping between decades with each swipe, a temporal refugee in your own present. The choice, like the timeline, is simultaneously yours and not yours at all. Check your screen time. Notice how many hours you spend in other years. The past is a place, and you live there more than here. When did you last experience something that could only happen in 2025? Can you even name what that would be? And if you can't, if nothing about 2025 feels uniquely, specifically now, then maybe that feeling of being in the wrong time isn't a feeling at all. Maybe it's just accuracy. You're not lost in time. Time is lost, and you're correctly perceiving its absence. Welcome to the wrong era.